In Friday's edition of 2020 Daily Trail Markers, Beto O'Rourke called President Trump, quote, the most dangerous president the United States has ever had. The Democratic presidential candidate temporarily left the campaign trail after the mass shooting in his hometown of El Paso. He resumed his campaign in mid-August with an increased focus on Mr. Trump's rhetoric and the plight of immigrants. Beto shared his reasoning for that with the Islamic Society of New Hampshire on Friday.
When I was in Victoria, Texas last year on the campaign trail seeking the Senate seat to represent our state, somebody told me that the mosque in Victoria, Texas had been burned to the ground on the day that Donald Trump had signed an executive order attempting to ban Muslim travel to the United States of America. This is, of course, after he, as a candidate, promised that he would ban all Muslims, all people of one religion or one faith coming to a country comprised of people from the planet over, every walk of life, every tradition of faith under the sun. I say that because it's important to know that it doesn't just offend our sensibilities or understanding of our traditions or what it means to be Americans to hear the president say that. It also changes who we are. There's been a rise in hate crimes in the United States of America every single one of the last 3 years.
Let's bring in now CBS News 2020 campaign reporter Tim Perry. He is in Keene, New Hampshire. Welcome, Tim. Great to have you with us. So tell us exactly how the president's rhetoric is playing a role in Beto's campaign.
So after the El Paso shooting, when Beto O'Rourke decided to relaunch his campaign, the president has kind of been the focus of the campaign, and he's been making the case against the president, some of the rhetoric that he's been using and inspiring the attacks in El Paso, the mosque burning in Victoria, Texas. And he's used the president in a way as enemy number one to make the case to Americans that he is, as he said earlier, the most dangerous president that we've ever had.
And as we just saw in that video clip, O'Rourke was speaking with members of the Islamic Society of New Hampshire Friday. Their place of worship is currently located in a strip mall. Can you give us a little more context into why the former congressman chose this mosque specifically?
So, yes, you mentioned they are currently at a strip mall. Their actual mosque is still under construction. It's been under construction for close to 2 decades. They've had some trouble raising money to get the mosque that they want built. But yes, I should note he was there today because he wants to connect the dots, and he says that the president's rhetoric is causing an uptick in some of the hatred that some of these mosques across the country and the mosque today that they've been seeing. I talked to a couple members of the Muslim community that were at the ceremony today, and they say since since Trump took office, they've seen an uptick in hatred. They've seen some vandalisms that have happened towards the mosques being built. Some of the attendees have been heckled going into the mosque. So Beto is pretty much trying to connect the dots and let Americans know that, the president's rhetoric is causing real harm to some communities that are at risk.
And so what then does O'Rourke's visit to New Hampshire Friday tell us about his campaign strategy going forward?
It tells us that he's planning on going everywhere. He was the first candidate to visit the Islamic Society of New Hampshire. They expect other candidates will come later on, but he's going everywhere. He was at a gun show a few weeks ago in Arkansas. He said when he relaunched his campaign after El Paso that he won't just prioritize the first 4 states. He'll go everywhere. So he's been in Mississippi. He's been in Arkansas. Last week he was in North Carolina. He was in Virginia. These are all states that people don't tend to visit this early in the campaign season. These are more general election areas. And for him, he wants to go everywhere, and he wants to particularly go to some of the communities that he says the president has been inflicting the most harm on. So whether it's immigrant communities, whether it's the Muslim community that he went to today, he wants to go everywhere, and he wants to be the voice for all of the people that he thinks are under attack from this president.
All right, Tim Perry in Keene, New Hampshire, we thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.